name is Anish. Unfortunately, I don't have a very technical presentation to present here, right? But I think that's what the ask is, right? Because cloud computing as a word, while we've been through the journey to begin with, is more abused, right, than used. That's used more by the vendors themselves, right, than the actual users of that. The topic here was on security, right? And it's an ironic situation that people who adopt cloud is because they find it secure, and one of the biggest prohibitors for adopting cloud computing also happens to be security. So I'm just going to talk about few factors which people think about as security, and they are more in simplistic terms, right? So if you look at security, there is a security from a user perspective. We've got many departments here who would be possibly using cloud computing, right, which is being provided by a state data center. Now they're the consumers of the services that a cloud generates. They have their own sets of security issues that they should think about. Then there are people from state data center who actually deliver these services. They have another set of security issues that they need to cater, which also so the security issues which an end user has is normally a subset of what the security issues that these guys think about. And then there are operational issues, which are again a responsibility of the guy who's overall responsible for delivering these services, though he's just delivering it from the data center, but he needs to coordinate with every person involved in delivering those services. So there is a cloud alliance worldwide of all leading technology providers who provide technologies for delivering services, right? And they work with most of the cloud service providers worldwide. Last year, when they did an analysis, right, of the biggest threats that they see, these are the top 9 which came out. There's pure, simple English words, right? Data breaches. What happens if my data gets lost? So there's a department who's subscribing to these services, right, from a state data center, right? And obviously you've got citizens' data that you're dealing with, which is important, right? It gets lost. Are there factors around that? That was number 1 threat, not just for the government cloud service providers worldwide. Second is data loss. You yourself encrypt the data and you lose the key. You send it to the cloud. So what is cloud basically? So when I started learning about cloud computing about 4 years back, right? So this very simple definition which one person which gave me was that where do you feel more secure keeping your money, bank or your own home? He said obviously in bank. He says just think about keeping your data in a similar fashion. Where would you want to keep it? With the experts who know how to manage data, how to secure data? Or would you want it to keep it within your own perimeter, thinking that you have got it secured, but potentially a loss could come from anybody else? So when people upload this data themselves, they've got to be careful. So there is a loss, threat loss. There could be a disaster which has happened because of which the data gets lost, right? So which is another loss which goes as part of the security. The third one, which is a very interesting one, right? And it has happened with, if you think about the best cloud service provider today itself, right, whoever worldwide, they've actually faced this security threat and have also succumbed to it, is your service traffic hijacking. You take space with a data center, with a state data center, and you're delivering it because you yourself are not consumer of that service. You are a department who's delivering a service to a citizen, but what you're doing is you're kind of outsourcing your IT to the state data center. Now, you are intermediary. Here is the service getting generated. There is governance. There is your intelligence that you're delivering to an end citizen. Somebody hacks into your system and takes control of your services. This is the biggest threat that people see. I mean, a person is supposed to be, he's clicking on the URL that you're pointing him to be, but he's going somewhere else, right? And this is what hackers do. There is something called channel sidelining, which is very simple. You have your server running on one of the cloud service providers. He will take a parallel server possibly on that, and they have algorithm written through which they can actually come into your server and control your credentials. An important thing, now this is not to throw in any level of insecurity or fear of any kind. All I'm trying to say is that you've got to know what you're getting into. And you've got to be like any other, like you spend your own money, like you take discretionary decisions, you've got to be very careful with whom you start working with and figure out the credentials. Obviously, right, if these guys know their job, they would have already thought about this. Malicious insiders. Now this, not many people can do anything about. If there's a crook in the system somewhere, right, and he wants to play havoc, he can do that. But what the service providers got to do is, got to be very careful that how fast can I stop this guy in case he decides to play a prank internally. Abuse of cloud services. Interestingly, while you're providing cloud services, a hacker who does not have sufficient amount of servers with themselves or infrastructure to create havoc, because the cost is very high, very prohibitive, he can actually, because this is an OpEx model, can just take 500 servers on your cloud, create the issue that he wanted to, and go ahead with, because the cost is very less. And most importantly, the last two, insufficient due diligence. Now, this is where the responsibility of security also comes on the consumer of the service themselves. Many a times, right, we just walk on. ये भी cloud computing कर रहे हैं, ये भी कर रहे हैं, अरे आप भी डाल दो यार उधर, डाल दिया. उनको तो पता था वो क्या कर रहे हैं, आपको पता भी नहीं था आप क्या कर रहे हो. And you end up signing SLAs, right, which you don't know what will it land you into. So it is very important. You don't have to get to the depth of the technology, obviously, right? If I buy an air conditioner, I need to know this is the temperature range it works. Be sure of the deliverables you want from them. And be sure as an ignorant person, right? They will try to educate you, look, we are doing this, this, this. You just got to close your eyes to that. You say, this is what I want. How you do it is your problem. And when you sign an SLA or when you sign an agreement with any cloud service provider, whether public, right, or whether any department, right, be sure, because at the end of the day, this is business, right? Even running government is a business within itself. You might not be earning it on a profit basis, but you're running a huge conglomerate, right, where you're supposed to deliver services, and I think the SLAs are more important here, right? And that is the basis for improving the experience. If you stick to the SLAs and the SLAs are delivered, that is when the experience really starts turning around. So it is very important for you to understand that when you are working with a partner who is a state data center, could be an IC data center, could be anybody else, right? You're very sure of the SLAs that you would want from them, right? And obviously there are shared technology vulnerabilities. These are more important for the people who deliver these services, right? Now the question comes that what does VMware do around this, right? So VMware as a company, right, is an infrastructure service provider, right? We provide agile infrastructures. Now, where we help our partners who deliver cloud services is the point is, suppose there is a security threat or there is a security intrusion which happens. How ready is your infrastructure, how agile is your infrastructure to capture it at that point and stop it there and stop it before it spreads out? That is the operational part of the security threats. Right? So we help data centers, right, become much more agile, not just from a compute perspective, right, which is servers, not just from storage perspective, also what Rajesh was talking about, the security and network perspective. So we provide the technology. We not the cloud providers ourselves, right, but we provide this technology which help probably serve your data center, for example, right? So suppose you decide to get onto this journey, there are certain basic things that you should be in place so that you have a security threat. How do I handle this? How agile is my infrastructure, right? Is where we come into picture, right? So if you go the little unfortunate, probably amber, and if very unfortunate, probably a lot of red lights, right? Now this is how it looks like. From the look of it, right, it looks inflexible, it's not agile, right? Thereby, if you want to make any change in this infrastructure, right, the amount of complexity that you will get into and the plumbing that you need to get into is fairly high. So Mr. Rastogi said, why can't we simplify it? Yes, there is a way of simplifying, right? You can take help from, in fact, Mr. You yourself are running a data center, right, in Maha Online, and you could see that while we mask a little bit of complexity, the complexity is only relegated to an operator who's working on our software, but for others it actually becomes much more simpler to use, right? And it becomes service-based, catalog-based. A person like me who is not so tech savvy, who understands simple English, can decide this is what I want for myself. I want compute which is going to run this service. It should have this much amount of high availability. That is very easy for anybody to understand. You can devise, okay, this network, right, will remain up for 99.9% time. This is the level, platinum level of security is what I want. Let that platinum level get defined by your IT guy. But then you can define that this is the security because this is one of my critical projects that are going on, right? From a dashboard, I can select that this security I want for my applications or the services that I'm going to run. You just click on that. It is like saying that I'm sure everybody of us uses an email, right? So when you go to subscribe to one of the free email service providers, do you really go and configure email service? Obviously not, and you don't have to be bothered about that. That's how IT should be consumed. You leave the complexity to the people, right, in the data center to actually run it. You just work on this. But for this to happen, right, you need to have the fair bit of agility beneath. Otherwise, you need a lot of people to do that for you, right? So on a very broad level, perimeter security is important, right? Your networks have to be secure. The hosts which actually deliver these services have to be secure. Just don't go by what's written on the right side. Just figure out the left portion, which is very important for them, and how do I make my data secure, right? And this is called the depth in which you actually define security. I would not want to get into the technical part, but look, if you were to look at this is how it gets defined. You know, your hardware lies in between, and that's when you start working your security levels around it. So fairly simple, right? Just ensure that the software that you're deploying on that hardware, which is making it agile, is fully compatible, has the highest level of security for you, right? That's what you got to go with. When you look at the next level, right, bigger the software, bigger the issue. More the number of codes, easy to hack, right? It is like saying that you're firing a bullet, you're firing at a smaller target, it's difficult, right? Bigger the target, easy to blow it away, right? So your software to a hacker is like that. If there's a lot of code inside, right, it is very big for them to see, and they can actually fire anywhere in that. And the smaller the footprint becomes of the software, it becomes more agile and difficult to get targeted, right? Multiple levels of security criteria, very easy for you to figure this out, right? Whatever softwares you use, just look, right, what is the level of security that it has gone through testing, what are the references available, has it been tested worldwide, for various security agencies. We all know, right, and it's not a wrong fact to put that the security agencies outside India, quite a few of them, right, are much more enabled when it comes to looking at software, and because they've already gone through the process which we are going through now, and they know how to ensure that, you know, this software has passed this level of test. That's very easy to figure out, and that can be done, right? Already covered by Rajesh, I'll not cover this, right? Your network has to be agile, right? Very simple. But more importantly, when your network becomes agile, what do you actually get out of it, right? This is what I wanted to show you. Now these, what you're seeing here, are cluster of applications which you are actually delivering your services on. One is orange, one is green, and one is blue. One is database, one is application. The third one is the web enabling layer through a web server. Now these are the services which are getting delivered. Very important when you start looking at these agile infrastructures, right? And when you look at these virtualized infrastructures, what starts happening is, suppose, let me try and pick on an example from MP Online, right? So you are actually delivering a certain set of services which are becoming very critical for only a small period of time. So you need a lot of compute at that time only to feed that particular application. Now one of the best ideas to do is have a lot of servers, very easy to figure out and continue to power that. But after that, those servers are underutilized. So what people tend to do, and what Sir has already done to a very fair extent, is actually share that load across multiple applications, that resources. Now when you start doing that and multiple applications continue to float, which is what you're seeing below, right? There are 3 servers which are and their related networks, all of it is actually abstracted from the applications. Applications are being given only the resources that they need to run. Now what starts happening is this application sometimes is taking resources from server A, and in a more leaner time it actually moves to server C, which is much smaller, and application A, server A is delivering another application which is needing more resources. Now when the applications float like this, does your security also float along with them? Right? Very important to think. If you virtualize security and you start looking at security or vendors who can actually, and everybody provides it. All I'm saying is that when you look at this, just be a little futuristic, and you could actually talk to the vendors, do you have this? And they would tell you, yes, we have it. Then you choose that instead of the ones which are traditional in approach and where you get the better prices and more discounts, because they also want to get away with that with as many people so that they can do away with their own inventory. Right? So it continues to move, and so does the security along with it, which is much more dynamic way of looking at this, right? And obviously today, you know, surprisingly, you would know, while we still deploy antiviruses in our laptops, right? But in a cloud model, you really don't need to have antiviruses in your laptops, right? You could actually, or in your servers, physical servers that we put in, right? If you're delivering desktop as a service or consuming desktop as a service, right? The antivirus can run in the cloud there itself and ensure whatever gets delivered to you is pristine and clear. Very simple. And we don't do it, partners do it, and all of them have solutions which can actually make this run for you. And obviously from a compliance perspective, again, like I said, these are more relevant to the people who deliver services, who run data centers, right? Very important for you. If you're changing a compliance, right, in your data center and you want to run it, there are softwares which can actually scan and let you know immediately that this is all compliant. Suppose any of the departments delivering medical services is to be compliant to, let's say, HIPAA, right? Though I will doubt right now, but in case it is, there are standard templates. You can actually just run it in the cloud and it will immediately tell you all these are compliant to what you wanted to do. So biggest issues which at least the private vendors are when IT audits happen, right? So suddenly the CIO, the IT manager, everybody is into just auditing their own environment which they built, whether they built it right or not, whether it is sticking to particular rules or not, right? So, and a lot of time goes in that, probably 15 days, 20 days. The easiest is build a compliance matrix, run it, right? And the software scans that for you and lets you know. That kind of brings me to the end of what